April asks, how long should I spend on each letter? Now, I'm assuming she's talking about the penmanship, okay? And because she also asked another question that lets me know that that's what she's talking about. Okay, so again, this depends on who you're teaching. A kindergarten student is going to spend more time working on penmanship at the beginning of the year because that's what you're working on. You're trying to lay a good, strong foundation so that when you get into the spelling list, they've got the penmanship down. It is the foundation. It's like I wouldn't try to build a house if I didn't have a good, strong foundation built. I'm not going to put, you know, studs and drywall up if I don't even have a foundation and I'm just building it on dirt. You know, I need to have a strong foundation, and the penmanship, teaching the A through Z phonograms with penmanship is where I start, and so I need to focus on that. So a kindergarten student is going to take time doing that. I just talked about that. Also, during that time that I'm working on penmanship with my young student, I'm working on phonemic awareness, and that is step number 2 in your spell to write and read. If you go to spell to write and read and you look through the various steps, so step 2 starts on page 20 in the spell to write and read book. So I need to work on phonemic awareness and penmanship. Okay, so she says, how long should I spend on each letter? So what I want to say is it depends on your student and really what their attention level is, what their focus, how fatigued the student gets. If you have a student who has a very improper or immature pencil grip, their hand is going to fatigue more quickly. So it's good if you are able to establish a good proper pencil grip, and then their hand isn't going to wear out as soon. But you do need to kind of figure out what works for your student. If you're teaching, let's say we're in that teaching penmanship stage of kindergarten, the first 8-9 weeks, then that's what I'm working on. I'm teaching those phonograms, and that's what we're working on, is establishing penmanship and playing, you know, working on the phonemic awareness. So maybe I'm going to do 2 or 3 sessions a day for kindergartner, you know, 5-10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, and then I can progress and get to where I want to so I can get into the lists. But with a kindergartner, again, you've got a short attention span. Some kids, some little girls, some boys too, they want to spend more time. They're really excited. They're having fun with it, and so they don't necessarily want to stop. So, you really got to kind of judge by your own student just how quickly you'll be able to work. But with the younger the student, the more likely you want to break it up into just short little segments over the course of the day. Now, once penmanship has been established, then figure you're going to spend about 10 minutes a day working on penmanship. That's on average. Some days it's not going to be as much. Some days you might spend a little bit more time. And remember, when you're working on this, you want your focus to be penmanship. So they might be doing a review activity. Maybe they're practicing adding suffixes to their spelling words or something. But there, the brain is focused on the linguistic aspect of the activity. You're focusing on the spelling and do I apply this rule or that rule? And they're not necessarily focusing, the brain is not focusing on motor patterns and, are my letters all set on the baseline and that kind of thing. So you want about, and it depends on the student, you want about 10 minutes a day focusing on penmanship. Obviously, the younger the student is and the newer the penmanship is, the more that becomes a priority. When you're working with an older student, say 4th or 5th grade, it's good to still have penmanship, something where they are specifically working on penmanship. But maybe now you're going to be having them, maybe they've got a Bible verse that they're learning for the week, and maybe they're going to practice writing their Bible verse, or maybe you've got poetry that you want them to be practicing. And so one of the things you could do is have them practice writing their poetry using their best penmanship. So they're practicing something, but the focus again is on the motor patterns. So it depends on where the student is, what they're learning, how much you're going to spend, how much time you're going to spend on penmanship. How much time do you spend on each letter? Let me get to that in this. She says, how do I do I do the half page and then move on? So cursive first, I didn't bring one of those with me to the table, but cursive first, the practice pages come where you have 2 half sheets per 8.5 by 11 page. And some people, they'll just give the child the whole page. Some people will cut that in half so the student only has the half sheet. It depends on you and your student and what works for you. Okay, so again, this is going to depend on your student and what their interest level is and what their focus ability is. Some students really like working on just the half sheet. They like practicing that letter over and over and over, and they have a sense of accomplishment when that whole half sheet is done. They're like, well, I can't stop because I'm not done. And they think done means they finished the whole thing. So you've got kids with that kind of a personality. So for those, then you would have them practice one phonogram, until that page is done. That might take you 2 days. It depends on how young. Or maybe, hey, let's do 2 lines and then we'll come back and, we'll go have lunch and then we'll come back and we'll do 2 more lines or something like that. But for the kids who like to practice over and over, chances are they like to just sit there and do it. And so for those students, that's how you would do it. Now, other students would look at that and they would be kind of overwhelmed. And they would be like, how do I have to write that much? And so what you do with those kids is you'll have them write 1 line. And then, okay, what did I teach you yesterday? So pull out the half sheet from the phonogram you taught the day before and just 1 line. And then what was another phonogram that we've worked on? And just 1 line. So you might have 5 or 6 half sheets where all they have to do is 1 line. And maybe you're short on time that day, and so maybe they're only going to do 3 lines by the time you're done. Or maybe they'll do 6 lines, but maybe on different